Today we're talking about why the INFJ turns into a power player once they finally confront a narcissist. So we all know that narcissists and INFJs sort of are drawn to each other. Or better said, the narcissist preys on everybody, but the INFJ always has a soft spot for people. So as an INFJ, we often think we can help a narcissist, or we look at all their shortcomings. We look at how they're suffering, what's really going on underneath, and we sort of try to be a champion for them. We try to make them understand. We try to get them on our side because in the end, we all have just the best intentions for them. But you all know that doesn't work with narcissists. And so very often at some point, we just withdraw. We say, I don't want to have anything to do with that. We're hurt and life just goes on. But once we get to a place where we really confront the narcissist, something incredible changes within ourselves. And today we're going to talk about what that is, how you're really confronting a narcissist and not just say to yourself that you are, and what kind of power actually comes from this, because it's a whole different transformation of the mind. Before we get started though, I want to remind you, if you haven't done this so far, to download the poster on the 5 pillars to an INFJ epic life and to sign up for the bootcamp waiting list. The next live round of the INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp is launching in just a couple of weeks in the end of August, so make sure you're on that list so you get access to the early bird price and you get notified when the course goes online. All the information you find in the links in the description. My whole INFJ journey actually started with confronting a narcissist, and once I did that, I recognized how many narcissists I had in my life before that. But I always looked at it from a perspective of there's something wrong with me. I'm doing something wrong that offended them. I was mean to them. I was too harsh. I was too cold. We have a lot of videos on those topics as well. But the point was that I always tried to look at it from the other person's perspective. I always tried to look at it from a perspective of the other person didn't mean no harm. And that actually allowed me to stay in my ego, which is an INFJ is kind. An INFJ is somebody who wants to help people, somebody who doesn't fight back, somebody who's not self-centered or selfish. But when you get to a place where a narcissist has just pushed you that far, and you actually confront them, you don't run away, but you actually face your biggest fears, then really freaking incredible things start to happen. I mean, think about it. What does it mean to confront a narcissist? The narcissist lives in a world where they're the center of it all. And this is not something that they're okay with just having in their mind and then everybody else can think something else. They need to be the center of attention. They need to be the center of the universe. And they need every single person in their life to also view them as such. See, that's a completely different story than what I always tell you to do, which is, you are the center of your world. You are, the movie star. You're the director of your own movie. You are the main character. But that does not mean that other people have to be your side pieces or your supporting roles. They can be that in your movie, but you're still allowing them to be the main character in their movie. And for us INFJs, this is actually rather easy. We don't have such a hard time to allow other people to shine in their own way and in their own world. That's why we actually have those tendencies of codependency. It's rather difficult for us to be, really focused on ourselves. The narcissist has a different approach. For them, it really is painful if they recognize that you have a life outside of them. And this is how they go through life. And when they find somebody who they see is willing to put them at the center of it all, at the center of their life as well. So me saying in my life, that person, the narcissist, is the main character in the movie and I'm just a supporting role in my life. And this is when you have the narcissist and the codependent match made in hell. Right? This is what works, and this dynamic just continues to flow. But still, we think at some point the narcissist is going to get what we're doing for them, that they are going to appreciate that we're minimizing ourselves, that we're dimming our light in order for them to feel good about themselves. Because we're telling ourselves the story that we have so much light, we can just give some of it away. And this dynamic actually makes us feel good because this is what we've grown up with. When we were kids, our lower functions weren't developed yet. So that meant we were all about like FE, so extroverted feeling, and I. So we were all in our mind, and at the same time we were fixated on creating harmony because we knew how to, play into other people's expectations. And that's the easiest way for us to survive, particularly as, children psychologically, you want to feel safe. So of course you're going to have people around you feel comfortable if you can, so they won't abandon you. This is a deeply psychological thing. This is just something we did. And so now as adults, this is also our go-to. But our go-to isn't necessarily the best thing for us. And so this dynamic really leads to this toxic relationship between the narcissist and the INFJ. And so the moment you actually confront a narcissist, what you do is you tell them the truth. And the truth is the following: you were just pretending, because you were. Like, we have to be aware of that. If you have a narcissist and you play into, oh, I know you need attention because you're suffering, because life is so hard for you, like I can feel your pain, you are playing a role. And first and foremost, we have to admit that to ourselves, because if we don't do that, we can't really change anything about it. And to understand we're playing this role not just because of the goodness of our heart, but because it's also a security in a way of, okay, if I do this for you, you cannot abandon me because you need me. You need me to, push you up and like push up your ego, make you feel good about yourself, because nobody else is going to make you feel the way I make you feel. So what are INFJs all afraid of? Why are INFJs so afraid of confrontation in that sense? And I really want you to understand what kind of confrontation we're talking about. We're talking about the truth. So making that person understand that you've been playing a role all along, that you don't need them, that you're not there because, you find them so fascinating and so amazing, but that you're also there because you've seen that they need appreciation and that you can give that to them. But that, of course, comes at the price that you say, if I show that to them, then they're not going to need me anymore. I am going to hurt them, and it's also going to hurt me in the process, because first off, I feel the pain that I'm, evoking in them. This happens, of course, because you as an INFJ are so focused on how they feel that when you pull that plug, when you make that switch, you're so invested in the other person's feelings that you feel the pain that you're causing them. But trust me, it's never as bad as you might imagine. Very often we shy away from that because we think, if I do this, I'm going to crush the other person. I really thought if I would confront the narcissist in my life, then that person would commit suicide or would do something like really crazy, and it would be like a nightmare. Nothing like this happened. It is an ego loss, don't get me wrong, but it's an ego loss on both sides. The narcissist understands that you were playing a role all along, that you never thought they were great, right? That you always had in the back of your mind, yeah, they're great, they have like, wonderful qualities, but they themselves feel weak. And so if I show them that I knew this all along, then they themselves have to confront their own feelings of unworthiness. And when they do that, they have to understand, okay, I can't rely on my ego, which is I need other people to see me as invincible. Because what the narcissist understands at that moment is that they cannot rely on how you feel about them. Because if they rely on you, and you turn and you actually show them, listen, this is not what I actually believe, this is the truth, then they are going to be really, really hurt, because they are basing their self-worth on how you feel about them and nothing else. So that's why they let people close to them who admire them in some kind of way. And once they recognize that you're not that, they need to reject you. It just doesn't work with their ego in any other way. But if you really confront them, if you show them the truth, if you tell them the truth, they have to face so much of this unworthiness and actually get to a place where they integrate more of their authentic selves. Of course, they're full-blown narcissists who will never get to this place, but the INFJ does have the power to evoke this in narcissists, because if we play the role so well for such a long time and then we make the switch, which we're capable of because of our, internal strength, this just dichotomy, this like really, changing of their reality is just so intense that it affects a lot of narcissists. But this is what happens within them. What's way more interesting is what happens within you. Because you, just as much as the narcissist, have to face an ego loss. Because what you understand is that you cannot rely on being liked for what you do for other people. You cannot rely on not being abandoned if you focus all of your attention on making other people feel good about themselves. Because in this scenario, you also recognize that you can give a person everything. You can give them all your attention. You can hollow yourself out. You can become a supporting role in other people's lives and also alter parts about you that make other people uncomfortable, dim your light even more. No matter what you do, that person might, and they most often will, still tell you you're not good enough. And that's when we have that ego loss, because we have to change our reality. We get to a place where we say, I have to choose me. I have to put myself first. I cannot think about protecting another person if it is at the expense of my soul. I have to be solid. I have to be loving myself and liking myself and making my light as big as I possibly can. I'm not hollowing myself out. I'm not making myself small in order to accommodate somebody else's feelings of unworthiness. I'm not doing this anymore. And this process is incredibly painful because once you do that, you have to face all of those fears of abandonment. Because if you are focused on yourself, who's going to like you? Who's going to love you? That's not what we have learned all our lives. We have learned we are liked and loved for what we do for other people. But now we're changing this entire reality to a place of, I like people if they like me for who I am. People have to like me for me liking myself. This was totally foreign to me. But I had no other choice. Like when I went through it, I really had no other choice because that person really drove me to the edge. And I knew, okay, I have to fight back. Like I really have to confront them. I have to tell them the truth. And it's not like I just said it to them and said, by the way, I was playing a role and, I was doing this in order to accommodate your feelings of unworthiness and all of this. None of that. This is not necessary, and most of the time, when you're trying to explain yourself, it doesn't really get the point across. It's not the real confrontation. Very often we say, okay, if I just explain my steps, then that person will understand where I'm coming from and they will rationally get it. That's not how it works. What we're talking about is really psychologically understanding that, confronting them in the truest way possible. And you do that through your behavior, through showing up in a way how you would show up if you really didn't care. If you really say, I am going to put myself first. I am the center of my universe. I am the main character of my movie. And either you treat me in a way how I accept it, in a way that makes me feel good, or I'm not including you into my life. And that is a completely different approach. And as I said, this transformation is painful because once you do that, there's no way back. There's no way back, because in order to understand others, you have to hollow yourself out. And once you start, putting everything out there and this is who I am, and you start filling your life up, you can't go back. But the good thing is you won't want to, because this gives you a freedom you never thought possible. And this is what this channel is all about. Understanding that you have the power all along, that it's all about you stepping out of your comfort zone, and it will never happen if you're not willing to face the pain of being judged, the pain of being abandoned. We have to psychologically face those fears and understand, if I was alone, psychologically speaking, in this world, I'm still going to choose that. Because if I'm not choosing me, then I am going to lose myself and it's going to be painful, and I cannot even have that. I will have a psychological break if I don't say, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to be, and there are parts of me that are not up for debate, no matter who the other person is. And once you've done this, that's when you become a power player, because you know now that the other way isn't an option anymore. You know your direction. And that direction may be a little slower than before, because before you were able to navigate through life by playing in other people's movies and giving them what they wanted so they would give you what you needed. That's a different kind of way through, going forward. Now we actually put emphasis on our last function, which is extroverted sensing. And that function isn't that strong, but it's still there. and it's your path. That's the best thing. I did it my way. That way may be slower than you thought before, but now for the first time, it goes directly in the direction that you want. And there's no feeling better than living that INFJ epic life. I very often say the first days after this realization were the best ones ever. It's not like I'm not enjoying my life now just as much as then, but now that I've achieved so much of what I had set out to, it's not like life is, better, that I'm now living my INFJ epic life and I wasn't before. The day I made that switch, that's when my INFJ epic life started, because I knew that I was going in the direction of where I wanted to be. And that process, that's what's so amazing. That's what makes you feel so alive. And that's when you actually become a power player, because there's nothing that can hold you back. People are not stuck in life because they're going too slow into the right direction. They're stuck in life because they're not moving forward at all. And if you know this is the only way to go, things change like you never thought possible. So that's why I always recommend get that poster, because it tells you go into those directions, go into the direction of the 5 pillars, and you will get to know yourself like you have never done before. And if you say, I'm ready to take it to the next level, then sign up for the waiting list for the next bootcamp round. It really starts in a couple of weeks, end of August, and you can be part of it. You get a great deal on the early bird if you're on that list. So make sure you're on that list and you're ready to go, because we're ready to smash it again. We've been doing this for a couple of years now, and people continuously come back. It's lifetime access, so once you're a part of it, you get access to every future live round. All the information you find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video, Why a True INFJ is So Intimidating.